Muted. I am still muted. Hi, what's up, everybody? I'm Wayward Jessica, and this is my sidekick, Baby Yoda, and welcome to Not Your Safe Zone. So tonight we are going to be discussing something that I think is really important to shed some light on. I'm not muted no more, V. We're going to be talking about toxic masculinity and how it affects us in today's society. This is going to be part of a 3-part series. And tonight we are starting with the male perspective. So let's meet our amazing panelists who decided to come on and join us tonight. First up, we have my brother. Y'all have seen him plenty of times. Original Keith. How you doing?
What's up, everybody? What's up? My name, first one, let me introduce. My name is Javon, but I go by Original Keith here on TikTok, and I also go on by Original Keith on Fanbase and Instagram. Thank you, Jess, for having me. Thank you.
No problem. I'm glad you can make it on again. You know, I love it when you're on here. And 2 people who are popping their zone cherry are DA Select Lloyd. How you doing tonight, sir?
What's going on? Thank you for having me. Y'all know my brand and my motto, higher education TikTok, the underground education, to freedom, to intellectual freedom. And so, really ready about to launch something else that I've been brewing, but I'm glad to be here, especially with this great panel of men and yourself.
Appreciate you showing up. We definitely want some higher education tonight. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Eddie Brock. How you doing tonight, sir?
Holding on like a hubcap in the fast lane. How we doing tonight? Chilling. You know the name, Eddie Brock. The Godzilla TikTok. Hanging out. Thank you for having me on. I'm always ready to go if you ever need me to jump on the podcast. I want to give a shameless plug. King of the Monsters. New album is out. Dr. Fingers. If you heard of Dr. Fingers and we got a project, real organic hip hop. I ain't asking you to support it, but if you're tired of this bubblegum rap, and you want to take it back to that Trident era, go look that album up, King of the Monsters.
Look, I'm going to need everybody watching, anybody that will watch in the future, to go ahead, and they need to go ahead and download these 3 people's albums, starting with Mr. Eddie Brock, second, Young Merc Fire, and third, Miss Crystal Crave. If y'all don't have them on the playlist, I don't know what the fuck you doing with your life, for real. So I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. So what I'm going to do is have y'all introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about you, and give me your top 5 music artists. And I know it's gonna be different because I've heard Lloyd playing on his lives. Who want to go ahead and go first? Go ahead, Eddie.
Let me get it out the way. Top 5. Okay, introduction. Eddie Brock, out of Oakland, California. A fuck up until later in life. Joined the army. Got tighter than the frog's ass. Straight, narrow. Ever since then, just trying to educate. Husband, father, all that good stuff. 5 top MCs. First, I would say it's Eminem. Eminem, number 1. Number 2, Redman. Number 3, Sean Price. Number 4, it's a tie between Busta Rhymes or Method Man. And number 5, me. That's just what it is.
Hey, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? I'm just saying. So I noticed you mainly go for the lyricists, not just the artists. You go for the lyricists.
Yeah, that's organic. That's hip hop. I mean, before anything else, it's the bars, it's the penmanship, it's the craft. If you can't write and put those compound segments in, if you can't make a person be like, wait, rewind that. That's hip hop. Like, wait, what? Rewind Absolutely. That. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and I'm not, and the thing about it is I'm a student. I'm not a fan of hip hop. I'm a student of the culture. So I'm not a consumer. You know what I mean? I don't, the radio puts down your throat. This is the new thing. No, it isn't. That ain't new. That's trash. Because a lot of these artists, they're dumbing down. They're dumbing down the craft.
That part.
You know what I mean? They're dumbing down the craft. And what I grew up on writing is fitting those synonyms, like putting those bars together. Cats don't do that no more. And I understand it's for the quick buck, but you know, I'm a lyricist. I'm a lyricist at heart, man. You know, that's just what it is. You know,
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Right on.
Who want to go ahead and go next? Go ahead, Javon.
Oof. So 5. Let me see. So number one. Oh, wait, let me introduce myself. Real quick. So no, I think I already introduced myself prior to, but I'll do it real quick. So, I'm Javon. Currently go to John Jay College Criminal Justice. I help run an organization on campus, Black Student Union, which I am the president of currently. So my top 5 artists would have to be J. Cole, Andre 3000, Kendrick Lamar, whew, Drake, and my last one. It's a hard one. I would have to say the last one is a tie because I listen to both of these rappers a lot. So it would have to either be Jay-Z or Nas. So because I'm a Gen Zer, so I'm a 1998 baby. So my mother would play a lot of the older hip hop, rap. So I grew up a lot of on that. I kind of like the rap now, but I don't really like it. I prefer 90s rap over the 2010s, 2020s rap. I have to agree with Eddie on that one. I think a lot of the music that I hear now is very redundant. Like, I'm kind of tired of hearing the same thing, rapping about money and going to the strip club and houses and Lamborghinis. That gets tiring after a while. They've been rapping about the same thing since like 2010. They've been doing it for a whole decade. So, I mean, I have to go with those two. Some people who are Gen Zs are going to be like, nah, like NLA, Chopper, or I prefer. I'm more of a lyricist myself. I like to hear the music, feel it, hear the story behind it. Not so much the flashy kind of, what they rap about. So that's for me.
All right, all right. How about Lloyd?
Real quick, I was born in Denver, Colorado, but I was raised in California. So I'm always gonna rep the West Coast. Been around all different, should I say nationalities. So I never discriminated growing up of who I hung out with until I got a little older. Before I joined the military, I think I joined the ASU, and y'all know the African American Student Union. So after I joined the ASU, I had an eye opening experience because on the West Coast they don't teach you about what happened down south too much. And so I remember after I joined that gave me a little taste of it. So throughout my whole military career, I had to bite my tongue because I understood Black history. And so I just couldn't wait. I'd been chomping at the bits for 20 years to get out and really talk about Black history. And so that's what I did after I got out. Y'all know I just started a new career at TOP, Texas Organizing Project. I am I'm talking about all of Texas, bail disruptor, the head bail disruptor of all Texas. So that's all major counties in Texas. I'm doing an audit of us now, going through all receipts and everyone we've been bailing out over the last couple of years, so I can understand the ropes. I want to go to artists and MCs. That you said artists, and both the brothers, they threw me off because they went with MCs. So I was like, oh man, okay. But so to answer the question, if you want to go artist, I'm a huge Gerald Levert fan.
Oh,
My wife would take me and my wife. We'll sit here and listen to Gerald Levert all night long. All his songs, just Gerald Levert off the rip.
Daddy was better, by the way.
Say again?
His daddy was better, by the way.
Okay, that's cool, but my thing is, I mean, almost any Gerald Levert song, me and my wife will listen to and sing back and forth to each other. Then I'm gonna go with I love Jaheim and Charlie Wilson. Jaheim, number 2, Charlie Wilson, because just I don't know what it is. I just then number 4, you said artist, I'll go Usher, because when Usher came out with that Confession CD, I don't care what anyone say, that was one of the best pieces of work ever.
look, I love Usher. I grew up with Usher. However, I can't forgive him for giving us Justin Bieber. I can't
I'm
forgive
gonna
him.
have to agree with you on that. Yep,
I
absolutely.
mean, but
I
see,
second that.
I don't know what you mean by that because I don't know how you say get. I'm not a, you know, I don't get into the weeds like that. But I'm just talking about the work that he put out as you know, if you're me at Eddie's age, Usher was a doggone beast.
Hey, let me say something right quick. I don't mess with. I don't really do that R&B. You know, I'm old school. Spinners, OJ's, Temptations. Like I'm old school with that. But Usher, that God, that one song,
Burn.
it's what the one with Jada Kiss in it.
Okay.
That
I gotta look it up.
The last part of the song, he says, when you're sitting by the phone, realizing that she never coming home. I was like, oh man. Because if you ever been broken up, you've been in that relationship, you've been in that situation. He says, sitting by the phone, realizing that
Throwback.
she's coming home.
Like, I mean, it's just I think
Throwback.
but even the work he did with Little John and Lovers and Friends, you know, I just love that song. And I happened to be living in Atlanta when he came out with that. And then the last one, number 5, is gonna be Biggie because I like Biggie. So that's me. Now with MCs, I had to go with one Eddie Brock said. I growing up was a huge Redman fan. So I mean, dude, I'm talking about There's a Dark Side, Muddy Waters, that's all I used to listen to. And hey, I was what do they call it? The Def Squad. I was Def Squad all the way. Eric Sermon, you know, Redman, and Keith Murray, especially Keith Murray. Yes, I love it. So
in the name of that, I got to toke up. That's classic hip hop. That's classic hip hop. You got to toke up on that one. But
I'm done. There you go.
That Squad. That's organic. That's real hit. That's like you dig and do the craze. Like that's like, you know. Let me share something right quick before you get in. Okay, so we was in Iraq, and I was bumping Wu-Tang. Right now, the culture is the culture. I don't care if you're white, black, whatever. If you grew up on hip hop, you grew up on hip hop. And you know how you gauge people with their hip hop is you play the songs that only a true hip hop head would know. Not none of the radio jingles and shit like that. You know what I mean? So if you remember Wu-Tang's double CD, right? Old Dirty got a song called Dog Shit. I'm in my chew bumping that song because it was my off day. My NCYC older white guy from Florida knocked on the door, banging on the door. Open the door. He's like, what are you listening to? I'm like, I'm listening to Dog Shit. He picks up and he starts spitting that whole fucking song. I'm not the first dog that shitted on your lawn. And I fell out. Just you would look at him and you would never think he would know that song. And my respect, we have mutual respect. But as a black man, when I see people outside the culture, like show me their knowledge with hip hop, not just on the songs you hear on the radio, but
not just on a surface.
Like, you had to sit down and be bumping that album, be like, that's the shit. He sung that whole song just like Old Dirt. And I said, I called him the N-word, just like Denzel from Training Day. I said it to him. And he said, I can't say it back to you, but just to let you know, I know about hip hop. And about the next day we got mortared. But at the same time, it was just that connection. And it just showed how hip hop, the culture, regardless of your ethnicity, when people grew up on that hip hop, the old school culture, you can't deny them that. You can't be like, lucky. Nah, dude, like that's the culture, and it brings people together.
Absolutely. I think music in general is one of those things that has brought people together, and brought cultures together. For me, anybody that's new tuning in, my name's Jessica. I'm a mom. I'm an activist. It's what I do. So for me, my top five artists, I'm gonna have to say number 1 is Ray Charles. Number, I love Etta James. If you want to throw a lyricist in there, Ludacris. Yeah.
Hey,
Look.
hold on.
One of the most underrated MCs
That's a
ever.
fact.
This dude,
Ludacris.
let me tell you something. Now, and I ain't trying to,
Everybody came on mute.
But yo, before I joined the army, I think it was before I joined the army, when he released Theater of the Mind, was probably by far one of the best, well put together albums I heard in a long time. That was a magnificent album. And the fact that him and T.I. had beef, they ended up squashing the beef and doing the joint together. That went over a lot of people's head because him and Tip had beef and they squashed it. But Ludacris, damn underrated artist. MC.
No, the only reason they had beef because Luda could have really became the king of the South. If Luda would have applied itself to hip hop,
let's end this right now.
He stopped focusing on his music and started focusing more on being an entrepreneur and being an actor.
Yeah, let's end this King of the South. Let's end this King of the South right now. King of the South, Jay Prince. If it ain't Jay Prince, it's Scarface. End the discussion. Scarface. Brad Jordan is the king of the South. He can sit up there and be like, Scarface. Until he pass away, he's going to be the king of the South on up to goddamn Virginia. That's just in the discussion. That's just what it is. Scarface been holding down the South. Scarface legit put the South on the map. No one was caring about nothing down South until Rap-A-Lot. When he dropped Mr. Scarface, that's when people was like, who's these motherfuckers from Houston? Mind of a fuck, the album We Can't Be Stopped, because I'm a huge Ghetto Boy fan. The whole We Can't Be Stopped album, that was a commercial success. Let's reel it back to Mind of a Lunatic, Assassins, Grip It on That Other Level. Brad Jordan pretty much carried that whole fucking project. He the one who had people like, man, and because New York and Cali at the time, those were the poppin'est areas. So for them, Prince, Willie, Brad, and Bushwick to bubble Brad Jordan. I'm sorry, but Kevin Gates is on his tail, not by a long shot, sweetheart. My kids would have to have grandkids, and Kevin Hart would need to still be putting in work before he's even.
You mean Kevin Gates?
I'm just saying, my kids gotta have kids, and Kevin Gates gotta still be putting out music.
Hey, when Face dropped Balls in My Word, I was done.
Yeah.
Hey, Jess, before he dropped
the Diary, that was it. When he dropped Diary, that was it. Like, that was official. Like, you are cemented. You're never going nowhere. Diary, that was it. That if you haven't heard the Diary, listen to that album, and I guarantee you, you're gonna be like, you know what? Tip, Luda will be second. Luda is a close second. Tip, I'm not a huge Tip fan.
Me neither.
I
used to be
on some street shit.
He's a great lyricist. He's just a piece of shit person.
Yeah, I used to be.
Well, I mean, you know what? Piece of shit person aside, I know from Oakland. I know some street politics. If I get caught with automatic pistols and suppressors that need timestamps, and I ain't seeing the prison, somebody's singing like the OJs. And I notice a lot of people who appropriate the culture. And what I mean by appropriate the culture, these fake ass fans, that want that appreciation of an artist instead of being like, nah, bruh, like you got caught with 2 AR pistols, extended magazines, and suppressors in Georgia. And you not under the state. The dude who you got them shits from, you ain't heard from him. You bumped your gums, bruh. Off that alone, nothing else you talk about, man, you faulty, man. Like I can't fuck with Tip. Outside, everyone, whatever politic, and you right, he a shitty person. I've been reading articles that him and his wife was, pilling up females and those accusations, and for some odd reason, all that shit got brushed under. You ain't hearing much about that. Why? Because to be honest with you, T.I. fucking with the white people. Viacom paying T.I. He's slowly getting weirded out. If you look at T.I., he's slowly getting weirded out. He dressing weird and shit. And on some real shit, if you wear low top sneakers and high socks, man, I can't fuck with you. You suspect. That's just me, man. If you're not a cholo, if you wearing low top sneakers and high socks, you suspect, man. You talking. I can't fuck with you. That's just real shit, man. Listen, shit weird, man.
I gotta, cause you asked us for top 5, Jess. I'm sorry, I gotta add an honorable mention. Oh, so I didn't tell you where I hail from. So I'm born and raised from the Bronx, New York City. Honorable mention I gotta put in there, Missy Elliott. Now I said that I don't really like music videos, but Missy, when it comes to creativity, she delivers that. Like that.
Timberland was 10 years ahead of his time.
Absolutely.
But also with Missy, if you look up, put all the songs that you like on the radio, like in the 90s, like all them songs that was popping, she damn near pinned all them shits. Missy has so many goddamn credits. That's why she came out. She was like, well, I'm going to do my own project. Like she put so many, she was like, so, you know, in the industry, when they bring you in, they already have like a list of people, like the ghostwriters, like we're going to definitely get a song with Neo. We're going to get a song with Dream. We're going to get a song with these people. Missy was the one in the background pinning shit for people. Like the credit she has for a lot of artists, like Missy is like the shit. Like, and as you can see, she did one of the bossiest moves. She came in, she established, she blew the fuck up, she held it for a while, then she went back to the background. She did it right. She didn't oversaturate you. She came, hit you, gave you 2 or 3 years of some shit. Then she collabed with a lot of people. And then once it was right here, she was like, okay, I'm about to bounce and get back to writing for other people. Because that's where the money's at. You know, just behind the scenes, the songwriter, the ghostwriter, they get paid more than the actual artist, like per se, because they're the ones writing the material. So if I'm writing this shit for you,
she had her hand in every pie. She had a piece of every pie.
She was Get Your Freak On when that came. I think Get Your Freak On came out. I was probably like 2 or 3, so I didn't really grasp the until I was a little older.
Hey, but we do it.
I had to. I didn't mean to.
Old as hell.
But I was about 2 or 3 years old when the music video came out and stuff. But my mother is still a huge Missy Elliott fan. Yeah. So growing up on that and just seeing like her work and like her pedigree and everything, like, you know, and then we, you know, the conversation of like who's the queen of rap. Like I get tired of people saying Nicki Minaj because there's other women that have come before her.
I'm gonna say this right now.
Ooh,
Nicki Minaj ain't shit.
Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned her name.
If it's the queen of rap, queen of MC, it's Rod Digger. That's it.
You have Remy Ma. You got Lil Kim. Come on.
Pepper.
Shut up about Nicki Minaj. Everybody needs to shut the hell up about Nicki Minaj.
It'd be a tie between Remy Ma and Rod Digger. Like them two will run down dudes.
Man, I want to wait. Y'all got to remember, Roxanne Shante and MC Lyte. Brought women to the stage at a time when you didn't even know about women battlers. You know what I'm saying? And to stand on topic to what we're talking about, you're talking about hit the stage when this masculinity or male masculinity was at the forefront, where hip hop was a man's world. And you get these women coming from the crews that they came from, battling. Think about it. You're talking about Roxanne Shante is battling against the Bronx crew, talking about, okay, what you want, KRS-One? They're battling them.
Yeah.
And so, and then when you go through it all, then you get this other, you get On the Lightly. Like as the Rock, when she comes out with that and she starts with her flow, it was almost like not just and I know Queen Latifah has started doing her thing, but really everybody's looking at Roxanne Shante and MC Lyte like, yo, like, who are these women coming here rocking the mic? Because we remember them MCs would come up, but here they are rocking the mic. And it almost, if you go back to the movie Breaking, right? Remember when they was all dancing, Turbo and them was in the middle, and then the girl came out, started dancing, and they were like, yo, a woman just hit the scene and breaking, and that made dude get mad, like, yo, we need to bring women to the forefront too, because once again, all this masculinity isn't winning the battle no more. We need to bring women to the front. And so in moving into where we're going, if women don't come to the front, toxic masculinity then begins to reign supreme. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. And
now, here's a secret.
they were
MC
definitely
Light didn't write her rhymes.
Huh?
MC Light didn't write her rhymes. Unfortunately. Yeah.
I don't know nothing about that.
I
don't know nothing about that.
As an MC, you gotta pin your shit. It's okay to help a brother out with a word, break down a syllable, but I'm not gonna pick up a sheet and spit your rhymes. I can't look at you as an MC if someone wrote your rhymes.
I didn't know.
For the sake of the culture, for the sake of women having the forefront, MC Light, I'll give her that. She did it. I will not take that away from her. But MCing, because she was making songs. She wasn't really Roxanne Shante. She was making songs. Poor Georgie, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. That was okay. We're gonna format you because you're gonna be the pillar of female liberation in the hip hop culture, which I support. But when you break down the layers, Roxanne, she was in there with them dudes.
I didn't know she wasn't in there. I'm just saying, just her come to the forefront. So yeah, I mean, hearing that, you're right about the MCM part, about really being an MC. That's probably the reason why I don't give Drake a whole lot. Sorry, Javon. That's the reason why I probably don't give Drake a whole lot of clout, because of what you hear about these ghostwriters. This is the first time I ever heard about MC Light, but I know sometimes people do write your stuff. But I'm just saying, but just the way she hit the scene was awesome. So that's what I meant. But yeah, but as far as MCing, yeah, you're right about what you're saying. If you can't write your own stuff, yeah.
Absolutely. And my last two are Chika, female rapper, based out of Baltimore, I think. She has this amazing song called Crown. Everybody should definitely go download it. And then Stevie Wonder. That's it for me. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move on into the topic at hand. First of all, let's define for the people that are watching, what is y'all's definition of toxic masculinity? How would you define it? Javon, do you want to go first?
I think for me, I would define toxic masculinity as a man trying to prove his manliness, prove his dominance, prove that he is the king of the jungle. I think a lot of times when we speak about what toxic masculinity is and what it looks like, a lot of men are displaying this tougher than what is being seen exterior, right? And so you see a lot of times, let me display this because I want to be seen as a leader, right? Someone who's shouting to the rooftops that I'm dominant, that I'm to be feared. Rather than showing it, they say it, or they try to prove themselves to somebody, or they look at women as beneath them. So that would be my definition for toxic masculinity.
All right, who want to go next? How would you define toxic masculinity? Lloyd?
Yeah, I'll go, Eddie. Well, I think toxic masculinity is really an attitude of approach to what we call living life today. Trying to put people back in a Eurocentric place in which they believe that where women belong, or trying to define where women belong. It gets real toxic. I think masculinity is one thing, because I think the word toxic because toxic, you heard toxic leadership, you heard of a toxic person. So the word toxic and masculinity both can stand alone, but bringing them together, we actually talking about that. It's talking about the mere fact of your masculinity being to a point where it's not just bad for women, but it's also bad for men. And so having that attitude and also breeding that attitude and pushing it down to the younger generations of this is how it should be and this is how it's gonna be. And they push these thoughts and beliefs and attitudes down to children, and then children start to outplay them things too. And so I think it's like I said, it's an attitude of thinking of things should be a certain way when they really shouldn't.
I definitely agree with what you said there, especially indoctrinating it into children, into the next generation. Eddie, what you got for me? How would you define toxic masculinity?
Pretty much what Lloyd said. I mean, it's a social norm that's harmful to both men and women, rooted off a fucked up indoctrination to believe that men supersede women in all aspects of life. It teaches us this old way of hiding our emotions, hiding our feelings, just a lot of old thinking, I would say. And when you mix that indoctrination with just ever changing social issues, it just makes this nasty ass pot of gumbo. And next thing you know, you're normalizing these things that are indeed toxic, anything from truly expressing how you truly feel about something to even talking to your spouse about how you truly feel, because your spouse may look at you like, man, shut your bitch ass up. You a man, you know what I mean? So we were taught to internalize our feelings, but then also, that was on the tip of my tongue. Also, directing these type of things to women as if these women don't push life out of them, when we bullshit ourselves, knowing goddamn well, if men give birth, the rate of C-section would be 100%. We having C-sections. Fuck no. My shit's not gonna look like a long sleeve shirt without an arm in it. No.
I'm done.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just this old indoctrination of a flawed ideology to think that we are the be all end all. To be honest with you, it's a fucking God complex. It's a fucking God complex, and it teaches us to be worse than what the fuck we are, and it's just harmful across the fucking board, man.
So would you say that the ideology of alpha males and beta males, meaning, where it's believed where alpha males don't show weakness as far as crying or expressing emotions, and beta males will be kinder to the opposite sex and be more respectful? Would you say that falls under the ideology of toxic masculinity?
And here's a question. When you look at any pack of animals that have an alpha, which one do you know is the alpha? Does the alpha in the pack say, hey, by the way, I'm the alpha. Hey, how you doing? No. See the one in the back, that's a beta. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's toxic. Like, I'm an alpha male. If I kick you in the fucking nuts and break your fucking jaw, you ain't gonna be alpha shit.
You ain't the alpha no more?
Yeah, so that's once again male toxic. Like, I'm an alpha male. No, the fuck you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not an alpha male. Because I guarantee you, I can make you sound like Prince. Like, straight up. I can make you sound like Prince. You're not no alpha male. But to answer your question, yes, that's that bro shit. I'm a fucking alpha.
Right. Like, an alpha male doesn't need to say that they're an alpha male.
Yeah. Most serial killers don't walk around telling people they're a serial killer.
Well, and see, my thing is, here's my take. Alphas are supposed to protect their pack. So if you're claiming to be an alpha while you're shitting on everybody that you claim to care about, you're not an alpha
at all. If you gotta mention it, then you're not it. It's like,
Right.
you know, I had an argument with a guy. He was like, I'm an alpha male. I said, I'm a fucking predator. I'm a predator.
How is that good?
I mean, because it's a conscious decision to look at people and have enough discipline to know what you can do. That doesn't mean I got to show my dick print to people. But if you're going to try to show your dick print to me, I'll just cut to the chase. I'm an alpha male. I'm a predator. At the end of the day, I can dine on you if I want to, but I'm utilizing discipline because I know what I can do. I don't need to walk around and flex my Johnson to let people know what the fuck I am. It's not cool. Most importantly, it's counterproductive because if a person says I'm an alpha male, you just told me how I can better disassemble you. You know what I mean? Psychological,
Absolutely.
man. And with this flawed indoctrination, it pumps into these toxic men that showing dominance or being about something is vocalizing. Sometimes, you know, my ex-wife father used to say, sometimes it's just best to listen with your eyes and speak with your ears. And I never understood what the fuck that meant until 4 years ago. I was like, well, keep your fucking mouth closed. You know, you keep your mouth closed, you'll hear what people talking about. You know, so that's what I got to answer your question.
I think when people get comfortable enough around you is when they release their true self. They see like the environment's cool, it's chill, right? We're going to talk about humanity, but I'm gonna bring him up, right? So, like for example, right, the heartbreak Nino situation, where you have someone saying, you know, well, yo, I'm dominant, I'm not submissive, you know, I'm dominant. Nobody asked. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of men that come on the internet and they'll preach to the choir. I don't know. I think with the whole Kevin Samuels thing, I'm seeing more men come to the forefront and they'll say like, "Yo, I'm dominant. Yo, I can lead. Yo, like I'm an alpha." You know, and then the things that I see too on TikTok is that if I speak on or try to defend a woman, right, a black woman, I'll be called the simp, a beta male. Oh, why you had to go and tag these, you know, black women creators, right? I could, you know, someone was like, oh, I mop the floor with you. So I said, go ahead. I mean, I want all the smoke. And I say this a lot in my videos. I don't have to proclaim myself as a leader. I show it. I don't got to describe myself to nobody. I don't got to prove myself to anybody. If you got to come on the internet where there's a bunch of people that do not even know you, never seen you in person, never met you, never had a conversation with, that you got to go out all your way to prove yourself. I don't take you seriously. So when you use those terminologies and you don't even understand what they mean or the historical context behind, as men, how we was, you know, raised to lead, but a lot of you now take that mindset and now you're preaching. You think you're preaching to the choir when you're not. So when you say things like, I'm dominant, I'm an alpha, I'm this, I'm that, cool, be that. But at the same time, can you lead? If you were given a certain situation, are you able to be that leader? Like, are you able to lead? Like, that's all we ask. Like, are you willing to? When you have a family, are you willing to lead? Are you willing to raise your kids right? Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do that? If you can't do that, then why are you preaching to us that you're not dominant? You dominant. You're not submissive. Like, we don't even ask. Like, we will be talking about rainbows, this, that, third, and here comes somebody from left field. I'm alpha. I'm leading now. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a completely different conversation. So what is you trying to prove?
Right. And that is something that I've noticed a lot.
You know, just I can honestly say there has never been a time in my childhood, emerging adulthood, or later adulthood that I've ever used the term alpha or beta. My mom always told me, you take care of your family, you show your emotions, you kiss your children, you give them hugs, you let people know how you really feel about them, and you tell them how you really feel about them. Expressing to another man and telling them I love them. You know, telling other people that I love them. and not being afraid to show your emotions that when you're hurt, if a person does you wrong in any way. You know, I was never told that was beta, attributes. So when people sit there and say that's a beta attribute, then I start showing them, but my family ain't never had to want for food. My family has never had to ask for the heat to be turned on. My family is, because, as far as I know, is I was sent here to supply all that. And that's what I've done. And so if that's not alpha or beta or whatever it is, like I said, I don't really, define anyone as being alpha or anyone as being beta. But what I'm trying to say is, but if you supplying for your family, if you being the man of your household is beta, then call me beta all day. But I've seen a lot of alphas go without meals. I've seen a lot of alphas bounce checks. I've seen a lot of alphas whose families don't even respect them.
That part.
So if you call yourself an alpha all day, but you trying to tell me your family is going without, that your kids can't even get a backpack before school start. Now, I'm not trying to say the ones who don't have money. I'm not talking about that because everybody ain't able. But I'm talking about, but for the ones who's out there because they still want to have the big rims, I don't mind you having big rims. I used to have big rims when I was 18, 19, 21. I just thought now my money would be better than going on rims. That's what I thought now.
But I think what's important that you're saying is don't claim to be an alpha. Don't claim to be about it. If you're sitting there with brand new Yeezys on and your kid doesn't have a backpack for school.
When I tell you that people would spend their whole paycheck on one outfit and will not save not a penny just to be out here to compete with people off of Instagram, off of Snapchat and Facebook. But it's like you're putting on a fake persona. Like that's not the real you. The real you ain't what you putting on Instagram or TikTok. So it's like, and I agree with what Lloyd just said. I haven't heard like alpha, beta until like this generation. Like my mother taught me to take care of my siblings and to do what I needed to do. That's it, right? That the conversation of like what's alpha and what's like I wasn't talking about that when I was a kid. Like as a kid, that wasn't the topic of conversation. So now when I hear men saying it, I'm like, I'll be a beta. I'll be a simp. I respect women. I was raised to respect women. I was raised to, if I see an elderly woman standing up or a pregnant woman standing up, get up from your seat, let her sit down. That's how I was raised, right? Anywhere me and my grandmother went or my mother went, I did that. Or I'm traveling by myself, I did that. It was what's instilled in me from a child. So this whole, I feel like women do too much and, women are emotional. They shouldn't lead. I'm an alpha. Let me lead. You don't even know your left from your right. So how can you think to lead?
Definitely. And to kind of piggyback off of what Lloyd was saying, my next question for y'all was what examples of toxic masculinity have you personally experienced in your life? I know Lloyd said that he really hasn't experienced much as far as the alpha beta discussion. Obviously there are definitely a lot more ways that it can be experienced. What is y'all's experience dealing with toxic masculinity?
I'll say this. Being from Oakland, California, I was laced with that shit. I hate to say it. I'm from the land of pimps and max, where it's all on the bitch. I'm just gonna keep it real. We go, and when I say this, I'm not saying it with the direct mannerism to disrespect women, but I'm talking from the mantra of my city. You know what I'm saying? We go hard on the bitch. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. We grind a bitch and make her, bust her lead nails. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. So with that ideology, the respect for women you know, and it's funny because I beat your ass. You talk about my mama, but you know, honor thy mother, but fuck these bitches. And it's fucking stupid. However, when your peoples is doing it, when you young up and coming in the game, you politicking, you smoking weed, you know, you own this shit, you absorb this shit, and it's fun. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because everyone's doing it to the point where even the women are allowing it to happen because they know it's part of the game. Who can mac the hardest? Who can pimp the hardest? I mean, you know, but with that being said, we teach our youngins that shit. They see it, so they can't, we can't be like, that's not the right thing to do. Like, motherfucker, I see you with all these fucking females. So it's just a recycled indoctrination, and every generation has their own seasoning. So me personally, being a bum ass nigga, just not doing shit, fucking my life off, I immediately was going hard on females. I was automatically just like, bitch, fuck you, you know what I'm saying? Woo, woo, woo. I was a womanizer. I, you know, ran through women. I spit sweet nothings in their ears to get the panty, get the money, get the bread. You know, ain't got no place to stay. I pipe her down. I got a good 3-4 months. I was one of them dudes. And it wasn't until I went to the Army, because my last girlfriend, you know, it wasn't until I had to do some self-reflecting and realize how fucked up I was. I had to say, yo, you know, you full of some toxic shit, bruh. And I hate to sound cliche, but the Army detoxed me.
Wow.
Because all the other time, bitch can't tell me shit. Okay, man, fuck what you talking about. But 2006 in Fort Knox, the motherfucking drill sergeants was beating my ass. I got my ass whooped. I had to eat the crow. And I had to realize that what I cracked myself up to be, the indoctrination I had pertaining to respecting women and the whole nine, that was me. I was fucked up, but I learned it. So it wasn't until I realized how flawed of a person I was that I realized the women I hurt in my past. And that's when, and only when, you realize the true essence of toxic masculinity, because you can no longer be toxic to then see toxicity. See, if you full of toxic, you ain't gonna see toxicity.
Can you say that one more time for the motherfucker that's sleeping in the back?
I'm just saying, if you full of toxicity, that shit, that ain't gonna fake. It's when you detox, then you can properly see, because now I can look at myself and say, nothing y'all dudes talking about, you can't, you know, sell sand to a beach on me. You feel me? Because I was there. I did the shit. I fucked up. Like, to this day, my ex-girlfriend is still fucked up psychologically for how hard I smashed on her, because I didn't give a fuck about her feelings. You know what I'm saying? I didn't give a fuck. You was just a badass bitch. It was convenient. I didn't give a fuck about your feelings. And that's when it hit me, because I had to get in touch with my feelings, because toxic masculinity detach you from your feelings. You ain't got no feelings. You can't have feelings. You have feelings. You weak. We ain't in these streets. You can't be weak. So it wasn't until you plug your feelings back up, and once you connect your feelings, you feel other people's feelings. You respect it. And then if you're a fucked up person, holy dog shit. I mean, if you put your feelings together and you was a fucked up person and you're a better person, every feeling that you affected with everybody, that shit come bum rushing you. And that is the moment you have to eat that crow, and that is your atonement. That's when you realize, I was fucked up. I hurt a lot of people. I feel how they felt, but 10 times worse. And now I'm hoping that when I interact with these people, not only do they see that I'm a completely different person, but they forgive me and allow me to reintroduce myself as a person who's no longer toxic.
That's good.
And that's Eddie Brock.
Well, you know, I can tell you this. Society breeded toxicity, or should I say toxic masculinity. And I say that because nobody I grew up with, except for maybe a select few, grew up with a father in their household. I can tell you, my father went by the name of Too Short, Easy E, DJ Quick. That was, hearing Easy E saying, woke up quick at about noon, just thought that I had to be in Compton soon. Too Short talking about these are the tales, the freaky tales. So when you're listening to that and you never had a father to steer you in the right direction, you become a womanizer, because that was what, like Eddie said, that's not just what you listen to, but also the ladies around the way listen to. And it got to the point where you couldn't even be a soft brother or a brother that respected a woman, because then the women would call you a soft brother, or you're sorry, because so that toxic masculinity is not just put into you by the music or society or the man that is in your life, but what about the man that's outside of your life, and also the women that buy into that role of I need a thug as a man. And so I can tell you, I can remember the first time I had my heart broken. The first time I cried over a girl, I thought I was in love. I remember the first time. What you mean? You kissed somebody else? I still remember that. And so but I was listening to Too Short and Easy E, and so I remember everything that they was always talking about. And so you walk the streets and that's what you act like. That's who you emulated. But something on the inside of you was always like, but that's not who you are. I like how Eddie said it. You can sit there and you can say whatever you want, but the minute someone talk about your mama, or the minute your sister talking about I like some guy, what his name is, who is he? You start to protect women. So you always had that thing inside of you to protect them. But in my aspect, I don't know if anyone, you didn't know how to display it, because you had a lack of real male energy growing up. You did not know how let's play this. Even in relationships, you didn't know how a relationship was supposed to act or was supposed to be, because why? Because guess what? You never seen it played out in your parents. So I'm very when me and my wife, we're very affectionate around our kids to the point where they're like, But the fact is, it's better for them to say, to see all that, because the last thing you want them to see before they go out this house is all they see is doors slamming and things breaking. So we got to also condition them to see all of it and show them this is how you open the door for your mom. My little daughter runs to open up my wife's door to try and beat me all the time. They'd be like, I open up mom's door, I got you. But it's like, okay, but I want her to see that do not let a man not do that for you. Not saying that you can't open your own door. Not saying that, no, but as a young queen, this is what you deserve. And right. So it'll get to a point, my wife, there be sometimes she'll look at the door like, and I'm like, you're right, because that's how it is. I'll come open it. And sometimes when she wants to get out, she'll be like, she'll even ask, is it okay if I open my door? If we're like trying to rush to get in a restaurant, is it okay if I open my door? And I'll be like, huh? Okay, I'll wait. I'll come and get it. So it's just, it's what you do, and that all comes into it. But I can tell you, toxic masculinity is not just in the man, but it's also, and I can tell you, it's in some of the women that grow up with men. Think about women can tell their kids, stop crying. You don't cry, boy. Blah, 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 blah. You've seen that. And if you've been from around the way, you've seen that too. So, when we talk about toxic masculinity, it's put into society. It's in our book.
Say that louder.
It's put into society. And it's what we expect. It's what people expect men to be. But then when we actually start to learn what a man should be, now women are like, oh, I just learned what a man should be, and now this is what I want. But for so long, we've been telling our generations to do this and do that and do this and do that. So now I think we're ushering in a new atmosphere for everyone to relearn exactly what it's supposed to be. And so while men are learning to push this toxic masculinity out, women have to learn how to accept this new man that's coming into their life.
Absolutely. And just
let me add one thing in, and this is critical because we have to keep this bobbing in this conversation, is how man and woman, regardless of ethnicity, bounce off one another. You know what I'm saying? I have to be honest and say man has severely fucked over woman, not just physically, but psychologically. So in this universe, this balancing act of life itself, things adapt to. You know, if men are doing this crazy shit to women, women are going to adapt to that because, in essence, we are bound to be together. So, if you have toxicity, women are going to pick up the toxicity, but it's not going to be that certain toxicity. It's going to balance out because even though it's toxicity, they're still going to come together. So, with that being said, we can't really fault women for naturally doing something that humans do, and that's adapt to environments and conditions.
false.
So what was that now?
I'm gonna challenge that just a little bit because let's think about this statistically. Who is the one that is normally responsible for the nurturing of a child?
Oh, the mom.
Son. The mom.
Yeah.
So who's the one who you remember getting here? Boy, you better stop that crying. Stop acting like a little girl.
Yeah, like because once again, but once again,
that comes from the women. And if we, and I'm just speaking on this as a woman and as a mother, how can I expect my sons to not be carrying around this toxic masculinity if I'm not teaching that in them? I'm a grown ass adult, which means I had to unlearn these things.
Mm-hmm. And that you just answered your question.
Right. So it's to me it's like a never ending cycle, but I can't really get with the man failed women, because women, since we are the mothers, we are the ones that are most of the time responsible for the nurturing of these healthy emotions and processes. I can't really, women failed men too.
But no, and I'm not saying one fault the other. What I'm saying is when they adapt, then those things they just naturally pick up. For instance, the woman not only becomes the nurturer, but now she's harder because she's not going to put up with the bullshit from the man. So she's going to adapt and fill in those voids based on the representation of masculinity. That's positive, though, not the toxic aspect, but just the firmness, you know what I'm saying? The positive masculinity. Mom's going to do that. But that comes from dealing with the bullshit. Because I'm a Libra, so I believe in 50-50. If I treat you a certain way, I would be a fool to not think that you're going to have to, not saying you have to, like, because you could be like, nigga, fuck you, I'm out. But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, I would be a fool to not think you would initiate some things where it could be like, oh no, you're not going to move past this point. If you think because you're a man, you're going to do A, B, C, D to me, you know, you're full of shit. That's why your eyes are brown. So that's my interpretation. Like, if we over generations do things to fail or fuck over or just be mean to not just women but anyone, naturally they're going to adapt to that and be able to fill in the voids that isn't there, to ensure that with the mission as a single mom taking care of a child, they can do their best with the minimal shit that they should be getting to accomplish that mission. And with that being said, that just aids into the fact that women in general are number one. You know, I mean, they put up with all our bullshit and they still get it done. You know, a woman can say, fuck you and your mama, and that man will not do shit for 6 days. A woman can have a man sitting by the phone waiting for her to call and won't do shit. Every R&B song that come on the radio, he gonna be thinking about her. Psychologically speaking, women have it. And if we keep doing this shit to women, pretty soon they're going to assimilate some shit to where it's like, you know what? whatever. Like with or without you, I'm gonna get it done. You know. And but the mission, I mean, but what's beautiful is at the end of the day, it sends a brazen message to man that no matter if you can stand on top of a bridge and take a piss and tell a person that the water's deep and it's cold, a woman still has the ultimate executive decision to be with you. So no matter what men say, how much dick they slang, how much money they got, at the end of the day, that woman has the executive decision to be with you. The choice to accept you. This is the whole goal that we all fight in the society for, is to be accepted. And on a personal level, the individual we want to accept us the most has that executive decision to be like, I don't want you. That's power. That's why women are powerful, because they have the choice to say, I don't want to be with you. And have that man not do shit for 6 days. Cash her out, baby. I'll take you to Bora Bora, baby. Just let me touch your feet.
Look, and that's but I will say that yes, women have the power to say that we don't want to be with you. But I've also noticed that because we have that power, there has been other ways that we have been oppressed and forced to what's the word? Comply, essentially. So what do y'all think about all of these laws that are coming out? Challenging Roe v. Wade, these abortion bills. Do you think that is rooted in toxic masculinity?
Well, it's rooted in
It's
toxic.
obviously misogynistic. It's obviously misogynistic.
It's
Because if you don't have a uterus, you can't tell me what the fuck to do with mine.
And I agree, because Congress is 80% white and mostly
White
male
male.
dominated, right? White male. It's rooted in misogyny and is also rooted in toxic masculinity, right? So when you see in Texas, they're telling women, well, you can't abort the child after 6 weeks, right? I think any man that wants to tell a woman what to do with her body in terms of, you shouldn't get pregnant, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, right? It speaks to your insecurities. So when you ask a woman when you first go out on a date with her, which is something new, I never did this before, right? Because even though I come from a younger generation, I never did this on any date. But now one of the questions that they're asking their date is, well, how many bodies have you, how many men have you slept with? Well, I say, those other men I don't care about. I'm not them, they're not me. I'm not asking you no kind of question like that.
So I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm gonna be honest. When I get asked that, I tell them to shut the fuck up before their daddy becomes one.
Because it's a ridiculous
Don't
ass
talk to me
question.
about my shit.
It's a question like, what do you bring to the table? Those are two of the stupidest questions that I have ever heard. But the laws that are continuously coming out oppressing women in general is a clear indication that men are paying attention. They're seeing that y'all are taking over, right? So we have our first woman VP in Kamala Harris, first black woman to become a VP, right? So you see a lot of women taking these leadership positions, like Letitia James, she's the New York Attorney General, right? You see all these women doing the thing, and then there's men that are like, well, I don't like that, right? Men that are, these same kind of men that want to display their alpha or, their dominance over women. So they'll turn around and they'll become a Greg Abbott or a Rob DeSantis, and they'll say, well, we feel like women should do this. We feel like women should stop becoming pregnant. Women are emotional, so they're not good leaders. Well, we see in other nations where there are women leaders, they are able to lead their nations better than America. And this is facts. From the handling of the coronavirus, you see it all throughout last year. You see other nations that are being led by women that were able to contain the virus, but here it
New
spread
Zealand.
like New Zealand is one of them. It spread like wildfire. Who was the president at the time? Donald John Trump. So when we see men going so hard to push forth these really ludicrous laws, against women and tell y'all, well, we think y'all need to do this. Try to keep y'all in check. That's what they're trying to do. Try to check y'all, try to control y'all in a way. That's deep rooted in both toxic masculinity and misogyny, because they're basically trying to tell you, well, let me remind you of who runs this country. But we need women. We need women no matter what. So I don't know why a lot of men say things like, well, we don't need women. We could do this by ourselves. No, actually, we do need women, because women actually do it better than us in terms of leadership and in terms of education. So when you've seen a lot of classes, like for myself, when I'm in graduate school, getting my master's degree, right? A lot of my classes is women dominated, not male dominated. There are more women in my classes than there are men. And I noticed that as I went higher up in my education, more women are in college than there is men. So like John Jay College, I think it's 59% women and then 41% male. So there's more women going to my campus than there is men. So you can't tell me that women don't know how to lead or don't know how to get education or can't do this or can't do that when there's more of them graduating. Black women are the most educated in this country, right? So when you see women being able to lead or do anything in some kind of political or anything other than political in other fields, they do it in certain ways better than we do. And a lot of men don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. I guess that's a controversial kind of thing. Like, I think women lead better than we do. And yet when we say women are more emotional, but yet Donald Trump was the most emotional president that I've seen, right? Because I didn't grow up like in like Nixon or the Reagan. I wasn't even born yet. But from what I've seen, he was emotional. He acted on every single whim and how he felt, right? And I felt like women, when they're put in a leadership position, they don't do that. They kind of check themselves and they put that to the side and work on what needs to be worked on. Versus if a man see a woman doing something, he gets immediately mad. He feel a way about it. I gotta prove myself. Oh, she thinks she could lead. I'm gonna prove myself. I'm gonna prove that I'm better than her. But then ends up looking dumb as hell. And then she looked like, a leader, because instead of her talking, she actually showed her actions and she did the
Right.
thing. So
Right.
Let me add something, Lloyd. I want to tag my boy Lloyd up in here, man.
Okay, real quick, and then we got to move on to the next
Yeah.
question just for time's sake.
No, I just want to say, I just want to speak on something in regards to, women leading and women being successful. The first time I got a gist of this, he attests in the army. Like a lot of successful black women, a lot of successful women in general, I I saw in the army, high ranking, responsible for a large portion of stuff, and they can lead. And outside the army, I didn't really see it that much because I wasn't about shit. So women who were about shit ain't gonna even bring you around to deal with the shit. Let's just keep it real. So I didn't really get a gist of that shit until I got to the army, and that's when I was like, oh shit. I'm like these women are on the ball. Like dress right, property handbooks, responsible for this. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to just talk about just jump on and add on what Javon was saying, and then let's just bring this on. We can move on about women. Just be mindful to all the men who are toxic, who think they're better. The top sniper in the world with the most kills, 309, is a fucking woman. So,
whew,
Chris
Period.
Kyle, all the Johnny Rambo, a Russian woman, they called her Lady Death, confirmed kills, 309. That's all I
The
got.
comic book nerd in me loves
damn,
that
that's a
nickname.
lot.
I'm gonna just say that. So my next question, and I definitely want to make sure that we have time for everybody to answer this because I think it's really important. Looking back on what you've seen and what you see today, what is something that you would tell your younger self in regards to toxic masculinity? Who wants to go first?
I mean, when I was 10, 11, my cousin telling me women they can't lead. And so what I would tell my 10-year-old self, your cousin's full of bullshit. Your cousin thinks that he knows better when it comes to how women conduct themselves. I think a lot of times when I, growing up, I was told that women, their place is in the kitchen, right? And so now when I hear this, it's like, toxic masculinity almost is you would if you could argue is kind of deep rooted in white supremacy too. Because I talked about this in my video on TikTok, where white people have taught and ingrained in black people that, you know, men are the providers, women are the ones that cook the food, stay in the house, stay in the kitchen. So that was to dismantle us and break us apart and divide us within our own community. Because black people ran nations in Africa, and we were able to work together cohesively as one, kings and queens. Like historically, black people are kings and queens. That's why a lot of times we refer to ourselves as kings and queens, because we are descendants from kings, from queens. So when I heard that, I was 10. I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, right? Now being 22, going on 23, I'm like, but women do it better. And I see women doing it better, not just here in America, but across the world. Like, women are able to check their emotions better than us men, and it's facts. Like, we get mad over the littlest thing. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I remember one of my friends, she had skipped one of our mutual friends in line. They got into a whole fight because she skipped him. We online for free. For those that are in New York City, I know free is, that the food you eat from school, and the frozen, they cook the chicken nuggets, the burgers, or whatever, right? So she skipped him in line, and they got into an automatic fight. Or when I used to serve as student government in my high school, I noticed that, one of the dudes that I used to, chill with, he would always speak over the president, and she had led student government. So seeing all these examples, but a lot of men want to put like, oh, women, they're emotional. I don't think women are the emotional ones, though. When a woman challenges you, like we see a lot on TikTok, when black women challenge our mindset and our thinking process to see how we are, there are certain men that show their misogynistic asses and the toxic masculinity. Like, it shines through. Like, once we put y'all, they put it on the spot, boom, it's right there. So that's what I would tell my younger self.
Well,
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Lloyd.
I guess if I could tell my younger self, I would just sit him down and almost like what Jay just got done saying, and I would teach him about the ways of the Ashanti, the Yoruba, the people of Mali, and all the different empires, where elders are the ones who actually led the villages. And the elders were not just men. That we've had, if you look in the past, we've had women pharaohs who have led great villages. If you look at the movie Black Panther and talk about the women of war, the women who fight, that's based off of true people in Africa, of a tribe where the women were the warriors and the leaders and the generals, and they're the ones who actually went out to fight. If you really look at a lion's pride, the hunters are the women's and the pride. They're the ones who keep the main lion protected. And so I would tell them about those. I tell them about how even through the stories that were passed down through movement and memory, all the way to those death camps that they like to call plantations, that who did everybody look up to even there? Some would call, we would all like to say the mother. Some called her Big Mama, or whoever you want to call. That was who everybody always went to for counsel. All right, even all the men, before they broke out or before they would run, they would go and get her blessing to do it. Weddings took places on them death camps that they call plantations, and they were conducted by the mother, and it was blessed off by the mother. of these weddings. And so I would be always mindful that women didn't just birth you, but that they are clearly the essence of life. And so that's what I tell myself younger. And so I would know that coming up. Now, like I said, I didn't grow up with a big time. I never had a disdain for women. I listened to music that degraded women, but I never had a disdain because, like I said, I didn't grow up with a father in my household. My mother was my hero. And when my mother wasn't my hero, my grandma was my hero. So that was just me. And so I've always looked up to them. Like I said, I still remember my first heartbreak and how much it hurt. I'm just saying how it was. I remember being a little kid in the bathroom crying it off. You know what I'm saying? Talking to her best friend.
No, not a little kid in the bathroom.
I'm just saying, I remember those times. So I don't think seeing it today, where I see certain creators go up there and talk about, women this and women that. I just sit there, honestly. And the reason why I don't really make a lot of videos at them, because they've already made an ass out of themselves. I don't need to help them. I don't need to help them make an ass out of themselves. Every now and then I might come and say something, but I've seen them. I can call them out by name. The guys who, they sit there and they talk so tough. And honestly, I just said, yeah, that's how they're on the app, but I guarantee they do all that on the app. But when they go to work, they say, yes, a boss. Yes, a boss. I'm just saying. So they can do that all they want here.
No lies detected.
I've never had a male supervisor ever. They all been women. All of my supervisors have been women. I've never had a male supervisor ever.
Eddie,
All
what
right.
about you?
What would I tell my younger self?
Yes.
Look for social cues. Pay attention to the the toxic masculinity. I would go back and say, what is a pimp without hoes? I would tell my younger self, pay attention. A pimp wouldn't be shit without the hoes. Women. That man would not be shit without women. If it's all on a bitch, that makes you a bitch ass nigga or a bitch made nigga. You have to start looking at the way men talk to women and ask them, do they talk to their mama the same way? You have to look at these men who degrade and disrespect females. How would they feel if someone was doing that to their daughter? Pay attention to these social cues. I would tell young Matthew, Matt, look, you know why this dude is all on this woman? Why? Because he sucks. He can't take care of himself. He's fucking with her because she's providing something for him that he can't provide for himself. He's going to be mean to this woman because he's assessed this woman and seen that this woman needs something that he can give her. He's going to ride that until he can't ride it no more. And you're going to see a lot of your friends do the exact same thing. You're going to see your friends disrespect women. And I want you to look at that and see if that was their daughter or their mom. What would they do? Respect the women. But before that, respect yourself enough to know right and wrong. Stand 10 toes down on your training and how you were raised. Stick more to the home training than what your partners is doing, because your partners is going to have you fucked up. Pay attention to social cues. Pay attention and stay with your home training. You grew up with your dad and 3 women in the house, your great-grandmother, your grandmother, and your mom. They gave you all the game to not even have to do any of that shit that these niggas is doing with these females right now. You grew up with 3 strong women from 3 different eras. These niggas is doing this shit to the women because they don't know how to deal with them. You stay in the house.
Take some notes.
They told you every fucking thing you need to say to any woman and be perfectly A-okay. From employment to just shooting the shit to an intimate relationship. Pay attention and don't go down the path of your family members and your friends. And then in closing, I would say, but then knowing you're gonna do this shit anyway. So since I know your hard head ass is gonna do the shit anyway, ensure you have a get out of jail free card, or you have something to where you're going to be in a position where you have to do some huge self-reflection of who you are to realize the wrong that you have done, and yet be man enough to apologize and be sincere about the hurt you did. Because at the end of the day, you're going to do what you're going to do, but are you going to be man enough to fix your ways and to be forthcoming with an apology, recognizing your toxicity and how it not only hurt people but affected them and their future interactions with other people? That's what I would tell myself, my younger self.
Absolutely. I especially like the part where you said stand 10 toes down in your truth, in your training. I definitely think that is something that everybody needs to learn how to do. So I know that we're getting a little pressed for time. I just got 2 more questions for y'all. This conversation was amazing. However, I know that sometimes when we have these difficult conversations up on here, sometimes it can kind of jostle some things up for my panelists. So I want to ask y'all mental health check-in on a scale from 1 to 10. Where are you at mental health wise? 1 being like somebody got to talk me off the edge. 10 being I'm amazing, can't nobody touch shit. Lloyd, why don't you go first?
I think I'm a 9++. I mean,
9++. Okay, so what is something that you could do to get you to a 10?
say it one more time. To get me to a 10?
Yeah, could get you to a 10.
Us. Well, I don't know if everybody knows, my whole life, but I could say when my son comes home, that'll get me to a 10. That's the number one thing that everything is flying great, but when I have that in the back of my head, I think that's the only thing that keeps me from being complete.
Absolutely. I pray that he gets home safe, and I'm sending you all the positive thoughts and vibes for sure. All right, Javon, Eddie, scale of 1 to 10, where you at mentally?
I would say I'm a good 8. I'm a good 8. I say 8 because I do extra stuff. So outside of TikTok, I run this organization on campus. I'm a graduate student. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm doing all these, I'm trying to better my future. Also, along with that, I time to time go to my old high school and speak with the younger generation. So I try to help out in best way that I can, give back to my community, and that's how I do it. Or give back to the Black community. That's how I do it on my campus. So a lot of times, like with my organization, what we do, we hold general meetings throughout the semester, have Black students come in. We talk about Black issues, dating within the Black community, the intersectionality of being Black and being a part of LGBTQI plus, things like that. And then the hassle of just doing papers, doing exams, making sure like everything is turned in on time. Professors giving me hell, not leaving me the hell alone, or professors not answering their goddamn phone when I call them. Things like that I worry about. What I'm saying, outside of being a content creator. That's outside of being original Keith, this is Javon. Like this is who you see living his life as a young Black man here in New York City. The hustle and bustle of being a New Yorker. So that's how I'm doing.
Absolutely. So basically, something that could get you to a 10 is winter break.
A master's degree.
Winter break.
My winter break. My counseling license that I'm working on. I will be at an 11. I will be great.
Hold on. You're studying to be an LPC?
I'm studying LMHC, licensed mental health counselor.
Okay. because you know I got my master's in counseling. Just
Okay.
if you ever want to rap.
Yeah, we may do that.
Absolutely. And I've talked to Javon, and I've sat in on Lloyd's lives and stuff like that. I think both of y'all definitely talking could be beneficial for sure. Eddie, how you doing? Scale from 1 to 10.
Before I get into that, okay, Javon, you know, original Keith, I never put two and two together. I smoke too much weed, so people who follow me, like, I'm just saying, and you comment, and I'll be like, man, who the fuck is this dude, man? Like, no disrespect, like, who the fuck is, like, I don't know this dude like that, like original Keith. All right, what's up? Because you're always in Ebony's room, you know, hey, what's up, Brock? Yeah, what's up, dude? I didn't know that's you, so I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you good. I'm
a little bit
more of an
focused
under
now,
radar
because
creator.
you got the hat, and you got the hat on. So without the hat, you know, I'm okay. So, you know, we good now. Because I was like, it's original Keith. I was like, wait a fucking minute. I'm seeing this fucking name again, original Keith. I had to TikTok. I was like, oh, bro, like, man, my bad, homies.
You're good.
All
It's
right.
all good. It's all love. Nah, it's good. It's good. You'll catch me. Y'all see me with my silky or my wave cap on my hat.
Yeah, no, like it's good now. Like, okay, so the hat's not there. Like, I smoked too much weed.
You good.
Now, as far as the question, to be honest, I'll be real with you. My behavioral health, my PTSD, it's never set. It's never, if I do this, it's always, it's constant. What I did in the military, I dealt with dead bodies. That's what I did. You know, I ran the collection point. So anybody that died in our footprint came to our collection point. So however you looked, you know, you didn't come from the hospital. You came from the battlefield. So we're smelling, we're seeing, we're hands-on, we're annotating. Stateside, Richmond Morgue, doing autopsies. So the psychological trauma I have, it's never, oh, I'm a 3. It's whenever, like sometimes, you know, certain noises, smells. I see the faces of individuals 3 or 4 times a day. So I could win the lotto and, you know, still have one of those days where I'm just like, I wonder what this fucking bullet tastes like. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I definitely understand that. I have CPTSD.
yeah, so I can't really give you a number. Like in the moment right now, I'm high. I'm a good 9. You know what I'm saying? I would be a 10 if I smoke some more and I go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, right now I'm good, but you know, there's really no consistency with a straight number because with PTSD. And I tell veterans this. A lot of people tell me I should talk. I tell people, well, veterans, with the PTSD, don't fight it. Let it be a part of you because it is you. You know, I talk to a lot of veterans, they deal with the PTSD and they fight it. Embrace it. It's easier to embrace it and manifest it your own way than hold it off. A lot of veterans, they get tired because they're always fighting. This PTSD is a part of you. It's like the symbiote in Spider-Man 3. It's like Peter don't want Venom. Fuck that. Let it get you because it's going to bond to you. And once you bond with your PTSD, you know what you just did? You just accepted it. The moment you accept your PTSD, that's when you can work with it. You know what I mean? You've embraced it. You embrace all that shit. And I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about psychologically, like what you go through, embrace it. Because the moment you psychologically embrace it and it becomes a part of you, then when you sit down and talk to people, you guys are in sync instead of pushing this off and slowly give it. No, let it embrace you. That different strokes for different folks, but
Right.
at the moment I embraced it, it makes you feel better. It takes a load off of you, and you do the first initial step to any problem solving, and that's recognizing that there's a problem. You know, so
Right.
embracing it, you recognize it, And once you recognize it, you can no longer push it off because it's now a part of you. It's an extension.
Absolutely. Like for me, I can't speak from a veteran standpoint. I never served, but for me, it was, and I think this is kind of another way of saying basically what you said is I've accepted that it happened. However, I haven't let it define me.
Yes.
I don't let my CPT. Now, do I have bad days? Of course I do, but I don't sit there and act an entire asshole and then be like, okay, but my CPTSD. No. Is it going to make me irritable? Are things going to happen? Of course, but I'm not using it as a crutch. I'm not using it as a shield. Yes. I've accepted that it's happened and I'm living my life now.
Yes.
I used to fight my mental health demons a lot. I never accepted it fully when I was younger, but I understand what both of you were saying. Yeah.
And I appreciate you kind of pushing back on me with that number thing, Eddie, because I definitely do think it's important it's okay to not be okay. It's 100%. And it's okay to not be able to put your mental health on a number. Because like you said, sometimes you're at a high, sometimes you're at an ultimate low. Sometimes you're in between. So I really appreciate you going ahead and bringing that up and kind of challenging me on that, because if you feel like you can't put a number on it, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I definitely appreciate that for sure.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
And that story that you said, it speaks to me, because something that I aspire to do is to be a physical therapist for the VA to work with wounded vets. So that basically, because even though I don't understand that scenario, I understand that it's okay to not be okay in the worst moments of your life.
And that is one of, let's take, masculinity out of it and just focus on toxicity, which Lloyd was talking about earlier. Those are, it's so subtle to normalize these things. And I think that's something I want to mention on. I'm not going to, go off on it, but normalizing things. We talk about a lot of things, but normalizing just the subtle things. Like you said, it's okay to not be okay, because we are indoctrinated as men to always fuck that, because not being okay is a sign of weakness. So I would rather lie to you and be like, I'm okay, fucked up, but I'm okay. That's toxic. So aiding into what you were saying, like, it's perfectly okay not to be okay. That's detoxing and unwashing and unlearning that flawed indoctrination of toxicity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my last question for you guys is A, how did you feel about this conversation tonight? And B, if you could see anybody here on the show about any topic at all, who would it be? But there's a catch. You have to be able to help make it happen. So, who wants to go first? I will pick somebody. I'm gonna pick Eddie because
look, I'll go. Yeah, they took too long. I feel this conversation was dope. I feel it was dope. It definitely these are one of the conversations that needs to be beaten like a dead horse all the time. Like it needs to be that irritating conversation. Like, we just talked about this shit. No, we need to talk about it until we start seeing some type of progression of the unlearning aspects of toxic masculinity, or just toxic ideology and indoctrination as a whole. Unlearning and undoing things that have been compacted by generations of bullshit. Who would I like to see on your podcast? I have no fucking idea. Like, legit. Like, if people throw out names, like, yeah, fuck yeah, better, because I just found out that this was original Keith. So me force like for seeing someone on your podcast, but I will tell you, you do have an awesome format. I like your setup, and I think whoever you bring on would definitely have a comfortable, good time. So, I can't give you a name, but I can tell you that whoever you bring on here, you got it. You have something that you can offer them.
I appreciate that.
Most definitely.
I appreciate that. Lloyd, you're unmute.
One more thing.
Yeah.
My wife, hold on, Lloyd. My wife got a little static with you because I told her about you and your Tony Starch thing. And let's just say she cried when in Endgames when he died. She
So did I.
Huh?
So did I.
Good, but I said, how we met. I said I stitched a video because I was like, she talked about Tony, and it was that truth, like, yo, like that's fucked up, but you're not lying though. But still though, I beg your pardon. So I told her, and she was like, I was like, but she wasn't lying, but she just loves Tony Stark. So I figured I just throw that. And she was like,
tell her to message me, and I will ruin any other Avenger for her. I really will. Like, I will sit there and pick them apart.
Most definitely.
It's my toxic trait.
There you go. All right, Lloyd, it's on you, man.
All right, Lloyd, go ahead.
Okay. I think I honestly think that the conversation was excellent. I think it was a great panel. I really wish we could have got the G-Co up in here. I spent time with him in Atlanta, and when we was there, and I really love his spirit. He's really good, really good. I wish he could have been here too. But I think that without him, I believe that we're a 10. With him, I think we're a 10 plus. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I guess the biggest thing is I gotta follow suit with Eddie, because people think that when you have a title like this, we're supposed to just get up here and talk about this is toxic, that's toxic, that's not what it's about. See, people don't understand. What we just did was break the mold of masculine toxicity.
Absolutely.
Being able to incorporate the hip hop part in the beginning, being able to ease into the conversation, even coming into the military talk of the PTSD and the mental health part of everything. All that is breaking toxicity. So being able to gauge where you're at even right now. My teacher, you made me think of my teacher during my counseling class. She used to always ask everybody. So she would say, give me a color and say why. And so if I was to get a color right now and say why, I would say yellow, very bright. Okay, because I felt that this was a segue into other bright, topics that a lot of people could now come in and look at in a different role, in a different light. And so I really enjoyed it. I could say I was more of a green, as of I was ready to, like, before this all started, I was green. I was ready to go, but not knowing where I was going. But now I'm a yellow, and I'm bright now. I know exactly the direction I want to go. And so, but like Eddie said, I think anyone in my immediate circle, anyone would actually be great in this setting, would do great, because I think you're a great host. You did a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, moving it through is great. I didn't know that much about you, really I did. I've seen your channel, I've seen you, and I've seen you, in my live every now and then. I've seen you comment on videos, and when you asked, I was like, you know what? This is someone that follows me. I'm gonna support her, and I'm gonna be there. And that's how it was, because we never really had words, beside this.
Yeah, no,
right.
I appreciate it so much.
Right.
That you went ahead, you gave me a follow, and you went ahead and you I messaged you, and you messaged me back almost instantly.
Yeah, well, it was.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, my thing is, I really follow the thing on here that when people support you, I want to support them back. And I see you in my comment section. I see you in the likes. I see you in the live. So it's like, hey, the minute you said it, right away, hey, I'm there. I'll be there for you. you know. So, and that's how I was. After I seen the lineup, I was like, okay, I really don't know these people. I knew Eddie and I knew Jico, but I didn't know Javon. But now, you know, I'm a meet now that, you know, Javon's a man after my own heart. You know, he's going into the same thing I did. So now I get to go and watch his stuff, and you know, I'm excited. You know, I'm excited that a new person I found, a new friend, I might say, that I get to go follow his stuff and check him out and see what he got. Because here he's, you know, and I don't take this lightly when I say to Javon, you got up here and you held yourself with the big dogs. When I say that, you held yourself with Eddie Brock on here, man. You know, I'm not talking about me. You know, you held yourself with Jessica. So watching you navigate through this, man, hey, is outstanding. You're an outstanding young man. You know, keep on pushing forward with your masters. And I'm glad that I was actually able on the panel with you today. So yeah.
And I just want to say real quick that Lloyd and Javon, I love the fact that you two are very open, that you two are Black men who are very open about mental health. You are working towards the betterment of mental health, because I think that we need more Black mental health care professionals out there. I think there's a huge disconnect in our community with mental health care, and seeing you two trying to bridge that gap and trying to better our community in that way where it is vastly overlooked. My hat's off to you. I appreciate it for sure. Javon, how about you?
Just, you know, I appreciate you every time. This is my second time being on your show. I loved it the first time. We having that conversation, and I'm happy to be here. You know, a second time. Um, I saw Floyd. I'm sorry, Lloyd. My apologies. I have someone in my family that I can't stand with your name, so I call him Floyd on purpose. So if I do, my apologies. And that's my cousin husband. I can't stand his ass. But anyway, I saw you because, you know, T-Nate, I follow T-Nate, and I know I've seen you and T-Nathan's live from time to time. And then I saw Eddie on EB's live because I'm always, you know, that's my, you know, I absolutely love Ebony. You know, she's family. So I always see Eddie in there, you know what I'm saying? You know, and then the whole situation, you know, we won't talk about it here, but, you know, we met over, you know, in unfortunate circumstances. But either way, you know, as y'all know, I go hard for my Black people, no matter what. You know, we will. I will say that we will never let someone come in and infiltrate and think they're going to leave unscathed. So, you know, I appreciate it. You know, the two of you, you know, spending time and we getting, you know, to talk. Now, I think the person that I could try to get on here, just High Vegan 1911, or you know, Lauren. Lauren, we have these conversations a lot because we on fan base and we talk about Black issues all of the time. And you know, you saying, you know, you invite me. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, because we see toxic men. We see Black men who are creators on TikTok display toxic masculinity every single day.
Yeah, we've
So I
had a
say,
lot of discussions about it.
yeah.
Off
So
app.
I think Lauren would love to come on here when you do your part two, because we talk about this a lot. And you know, like going back to what Lloyd said, we broke the mold tonight. So I appreciate you just for having me on for a good time. If you want me to come back for a fourth, fifth time, I'll be here. You know, I'm a big supporter of you. Okay?
Look, that just might happen. That just might happen.
So like I told, you know, Ebony, like any of y'all need a person on your shit, just like how you did me. Like I forgot what the fuck I was doing, but I was like, I got a message. Like, where were Jessica? Talking about Tony Starks. Put a smile on my face. It put a smile on my face because I was like, oh, because like you reached out to me. Like I was like, yo, like that's why I put it in all caps. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm down. Because like, you know, because like when I stitch people shit, like I don't expect, you know what I mean? Like you guys know R-Truth, the wrestler. R-Truth.
Yeah, listen.
He inboxed me, man,
Woo.
and like he follows me. If I go live, he was like, "Yo, Eddie Brock," you know, like he fucks with me. I don't expect
I love
like
R-Truth.
fucking Modern Warrior, R-Truth, a couple of these people, and I'm just happy with just the recognition.
Yeah.
So when I did your video and you hollered at me because It's so funny. TikTok's so funny, motherfucker. All community guideline, like, oh, harassment and bullying. So I don't know how. No, I'm just saying because you don't know. You know, some
How
people.
somebody's gonna react.
What I notice is like some people, if they see you stitch their shit and you start hitting numbers more than their original content, oh, they'll throw salt on, and they'll throw salt in the game, and community guideline, whatever.
Look,
So when you reached out and create the correspondence with me, I was like, okay, cool. Like, she know who. Okay, cool. But for then you to then invite me, that's when I was like, yo, like, fuck yeah, I'm down. So with that being said, you want me on your shit at any given time? The only time I would say no is if it's a time I can't do it. But other than that, I'm down, man. You know what I'm saying?
I would say like this. That day, I was having one of the worst days that I had at all this year. I go ahead and I'm like, Eddie Brock mentioned me in a video? What the fuck did I do? And I click on it, and all of a sudden you see him go, Wayward Jessica. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm gonna get destroyed by Eddie Brock. Oh my God. And he goes, I hate you. I don't really hate you. And I'm like, I'm dead. I was laughing so hard. I was in tears. It literally made my day. I was like,
well, I'm glad I was able to make your day. Most definitely.
Absolutely. And I definitely appreciate y'all for coming on. Go ahead and hang tight for just a couple minutes. I'm going to go ahead and do the outro, and then we'll chat a little bit backstage. And then I will let y'all go because I know we all got families and stuff. So hold on one second. All right, everybody. This was part 1 to the discussion on toxic masculinity. I think it was a very fruitful and honest conversation. I hope that it ignited a want in somebody's heart who watches this to have this conversation at home with their family and friends. Keep talking about it, keep challenging it, because how the hell are we going to liberate us from any and all forms of oppression if we don't start at home? So y'all have a great night. Don't be a dick, and I'll see y'all next time.